You're listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.
I'm sure just from our conversation earlier, you're probably like, what do those letters mean? What are all these?
When y'all started talking, I was like,
what are all these acronyms?
When y'all started talking,
and we're just kind of like, yeah. That's kind of how it is when you get, military people in a room together, and then there's always that one civilian's like, I'm hearing just a bunch of gibberish and letters and acronyms. What is that?
I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
But yeah. I wasn't gonna bring up any of that stuff.
It just comes out naturally. Yeah. It just comes out naturally. It really does. It just comes out naturally.
Renee, what's happening, brother?
Thank you for having me back. Thank you, Gabe. We're at that time again of the year. And this is the most exciting part for me, and
well, you never get to turn it off, right? Because as soon as one event's done, you're getting ready for the next, aren't you?
Mentally, yes. When we say get ready, there's the plan is always there. Even now, the plan for next year is already. I guess I'm already trying to line up the pieces.
Nice.
So yeah, it's kind of like what you just mentioned before is always overthinking stuff or always thinking about it. I can't shut it off. So just putting it into motion is just my way of keeping it moving and keeping just like a live plan that I can always change. As long as I got pieces moving, then it allows me some room to adjust. And because my plan always, compared from what this was at the very beginning to what it is now, it has 100% changed.
And this is just the second one. So what we're talking about is Battle at the Alamo City,
yes, sir.
October 7th, right?
Yeah, going back to it, Battle at the Alamo City, October 7th is our second annual event. Mission Concepcion Sports Complex, which is in the south side of San Antonio, by the actual Concepcion mission that's out there. October 7th, granted we say south side of San Antonio, but it's encompassed with all the gyms, all the surrounding businesses, all the surrounding support that offers this kind of journey, which is a fitness and health and wellness kind of journey. But the biggest point of me wanting to start this was I was able to, taking a step back, I retired from, we're talking about military earlier. I retired from the WTU, which is the Warrior Transition Unit, where you have a lot of wounded veterans.
Yep.
And then this being stuck in this hospital and being around these people kind of was a double-edged sword, because you're always around people that are hurt. You're always, it's a negative, can be a negative thing, because you're just seeing the worst of what combat and what the worst of military does.
Oh, yeah.
And then, but the flip side of that, or the other side of that sword, is you see people not skip a beat. You see everything that you're taught in the military that is like, you just got to keep on driving. And you got people that are double, triple amputees, burn victims, people with cancer. So then you take a step back and like, what I'm complaining about is it really, something that I need to be complaining about? Or is it really something that I need to be the biggest hurdle in my life? Because these people are going to go through, just keep on going through and keep on going through. And they do it without with a grimace in their face. They just have this drive. So learning from that became one of the ultimate reasons why I wanted to do this. And then this journey of recovery and finally getting put out of the military, and you're always, you get lost, and you hear people talk about this all the time, and there's this trying to find your community, trying to find your identity, and ultimately it's literally what everybody else is going through. We don't like to talk about it that way. We don't always like to, that we think that we're so original and not everybody experiences what we experience.
Oh, yeah.
But to them, it's the hardest thing that they've gone through, are going through right now. And when you can share that, or at least be able to bring people to see that other people are going through this, that was the mindset. That was the idea. All right, I was trying to figure it out for myself. So I would go to gyms as my therapy, The sitting in meetings didn't work out for me as well. The medications definitely did not work for me as well. And it took years for me to kind of figure that out. If most of y'all that know me, or people heard me have this conversation. Like this was in planning like 6 or 7 years ago when people first met me, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be the face. I don't have the financials for it. I don't have the health for it as well. So, but the one thing the military teaches you is you cannot wait. If there is a gap there, as a leader, as everything that you've been taught that we went to schools for, that I had leadership just constantly push on you. There's something there, and you have an opportunity, you have the skill set, so make the change.
That's awesome.
Be that. You said it earlier, where we identify problems, but always have that maybe we don't want to make a fix for it, or maybe we don't think we have a fix for it. Because people tell me that all the time, like, man, why do you want to do that? Like, it's like, you're not going to have an impact to that, or I can't make an impact to that. And it can be as simple thing as like politics, or whatever it is that's out there that's the top thing that we're talking about. Oh, I don't have an influence. You do. It starts off with a conversation. It starts off with sharing your story. And then from there, you realize that people share common goals, and then that becomes kind of a movement. As small as it can be, it's infectious. Regardless, it's infectious. And the military taught me that. So this is Mill City, USA, where we're having the event. All right, we had to take advantage of the fact that
perfect place.
Exactly. Whether it's families, whether it's active duty, or whether it's those looking to get into the military, there's this people that want to. At least I'm speaking from just my experience and my path. And I'm going to speak a lot of this from the military aspect, because that's where I can speak from. And so sharing that guidance, sharing that leadership, sharing what I learned from this institution cannot be a secret, and it's not something that ends when you retire. That's not something that ends when you leave the base. It's just always, it's instilled into you, and you're that product. So then we get out where you lose your identity, you lose your community, you lose your accountability. It's gone. So what the journey that I was able to was forced upon in healing myself was finding these communities. And what I realized was they're all out there. I'm not unique at all. There's plenty of people on the same page, but they're so focused in their world, in their job, or in their athletes, or in just because they have to be. And there's plenty of communities that want to do the same thing, and are doing the same thing, or are having these great results in pushing people in whatever it is, art, music, sports, and my portion of it just happens to be what I found through sports. And I'll go into why I feel that I want to use sports to do this, and why I think it's the easiest way to use sports. But, music and art and the media, and be able to use our skill set to do exactly what I'm trying to do. And it's just help fix people's mental health, give them a tool for the toolbox versus just something to cover up. We have a conversation, you make me feel good today. All right, that's badass. But what about tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day? Did we share something in that conversation that I gave you that is going to carry over, that maybe you can share, or vice versa, that I can use and try to use in whatever I'm doing? But it has to be something impactful, or at least the way I feel. These things that we're sharing, these things that we're doing, should be to help you out, or should be able. I'm going to listen to you and use those things. So these communities are out there, and they're doing these, and that's all I'm able to do. I had the privilege to just find them, put them under one roof, and then that's what Battle at the Alamo City became. The powerlifting, the strongman, the CrossFit, Tim and Michelle are family members of yours, and just by walking in there, Heavy Metal Fitness is what we're talking about.
Okay.
Is one of my hosts for the competition.
Is that over there off of like Castle Hills?
Yeah.
In the Castle Hills area? Okay. I think I remember seeing that gym.
You walk into
when
that
I first
place,
got here.
Oh, you walk into that place, and it's a different feeling when you walk in.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much people are competitors there.
No, I like that, man. And you harped on it really well. And we spoke on this last time I was here. And when he had mentioned about you, he had mentioned you to me, I was really like, hey, you know what? That's awesome. Because it's you're providing a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And in the military, you know, that's all it's instilled on us. Hey, be here at this time, this place, in this uniform. And that is it. We're providing you the purpose. This is your job. This is what you're going to do. Here's your duty position, you know. And then you transition out. And we had spoke this last time. I was like, hey, man, the one thing I'm dreading when I retire, because I know it's coming, is you start to lose that sense of purpose. And one thing you see a lot in the veteran community, and you mentioned it too, they do these jobs because they have to. But then they're looking for that purpose, you know, and programs like this, you're reaching out and you're providing that purpose. Now, hey, here's the end state, this battle of the Alamo, you know, here's the competition, start training, start getting ready. This is a purpose, you know, or setting it up, you know, and getting veterans and active duty involved. It definitely helps. It definitely helps. And it creates that community awareness. So that's pretty legit, man. That's pretty legit.
And now, so going back to the event, which is this year is going to be even crazier. Like, I'm so excited, and you'll probably hear it in my voice because I won't be able to stop, or I won't be able to talk a little too fast.
I'm excited for this.
You just hyped me up just saying it like that.
You know, it is, we got, now everything's indoors. So Mission Concepcion is 6 basketball courts in one open location. Have you ever heard of the Arnold Sports Festival in Ohio? Mm-hmm. So it's all these sports going on at one time, and these events you kind of have to be invited to because the expo experiences, you've made it. You know, you're going to be in front of this crowd.
You qualified and everything.
Exactly. So what we did for here, because we wanted it to be a community building event, the powerlifting portion of this event is hosted by Texas Strength Systems, done through USAPL. And
where are they out of?
Here in San Antonio.
San Antonio, right?
Yeah, just to give them a quick, you know,
low plug.
Yeah, you know, Texas Strength Systems, Wes. I love Wes.
Check
I
him
love his mentality. You know, when I first left, I think I said this in the last podcast. When I left the military, I was reaching out to everybody because I wanted to open up a gym. I wanted to open up an adaptive gym, you know, with this same mindset. Nice. And I reached out to Wes because he was running high school powerlifting as a coach, UTSA powerlifting as a coach. He manufactures powerlifting equipment or strength training equipment, and then had his gym. So all of these hats and everything that I wanted to do, this guy was successfully doing, and you wouldn't even know. You know, he's so humble, he's so quiet that he just gets all of these people, and people gravitate towards him. They gravitate towards his movement. So they are throwing, and his community, I take it back. The community that he has built over this year, from teaching these kids and having these kids teach each other, it's a whole group of kids that are now, which were once his students or once his athletes, are now going to be hosting this portion of the event.
Nice.
Cool.
And it's called the Rookie Rumble. You know, the Alamo City Rookie Rumble. Meant to bring in people into powerlifting. They've never got a real powerlifting total in, or this is their very first meet. So with the expo or sports festival experience. So if it's gonna draw you in, you know, this is the place to be bit by a bug in powerlifting. And then we go to heavy metal fitness, and heavy metal fitness is as well. Or go back to Texas Strength System. Not only do they do all of that, you'll find national and world lifters there. You know, some of the top athletes are in that gym or going to come out of that gym. Yeah. That's just what it is. So you have some of the strongest powerlifters right here in San Antonio.
Oh, I believe it.
Second, you have heavy metal fitness. Heavy metal fitness is, you know, we have Austin that's coming out of there, that world's strongest Latino. Tim has a couple of other athletes that, you know, I
think he also won the Open at
at the Shaw Classic.
The Shaw, and Nick coming out of there was 10th, top 10.
Nick, and that's the other thing. You have Nick that's coming out. You have all these other strongmen that are coming out of there. You have Jackie. That she got her pro card and was on the Rock's Titan Games. And
she got second place. Yeah, she was on TV.
Dude.
So these are people that just walked in the gym.
Yeah.
Nice. You know, every day they were athletes, but found their athletic skill could be translated into something else, and all they had to do was be around the right people. And when you step into that environment, the environment is 90% of the people. At least, you know, I remember, because I still go train there. 90% of the customers, the gym members, were competitors or wanted to be competitors. So the mindset and the drive is always the desperation was to get better. And when you're around, they had some guys going out for special operations units, or guys trying to get into the NFL, or kids trying to get into college, or wounded people, or people that are older. The desperation and the want is all the same. Even me, from being one of those, being the military guy that needs this, they're trying to use this for stress, trying to be the guy that's wanting to do those extra jobs, and then be the wounded guy. So I got to experience all of that and understood that the desperation to get there and that goal, I found it in all these other athletes. And that's one of the places that you feel it. You walk in there when it's hype, and that's it. You're
sucked in.
Yeah, you're sucked in.
You're drawn into that. That energy is just like too powerful.
And sometimes it feels like I'm making it up when I'm explaining the gym.
No, dude, I know
free
exactly
plug for
what
you,
you're
Tim
talking
Ingram.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's funny because I've told them before, the quality of person that goes to that gym is a reflection on the quality of person that they are. It's a really good community. It's a really good group of folks. And from your novice person who comes in for fitness to, your high performance competitors, it runs the board there.
And the third sport, that competition that we have that's coming up and growing, is Bear Box CrossFit. And Bear Box is running the Monster Mash Bash. I'll finish with this. The Monster Mash Bash, again, going to be geared more towards bringing in the community. The event's more that your average person that's training can complete this. And the same thing goes back with the strongman event. It was meant that if you're training enough in strongman, you're going to be able to complete this. It's still going to be hard, but you're going to be able to complete this. It's not going to turn you away from like, oh yeah, there's no way that I'm going to be able to compete at the level that some of these guys are competing at. Because it's intimidating. If you were just to look at the pictures and the advertisement on all their Instagrams, you're like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not going to.
Well, even from last year's event, it was interesting because I think I flew a drone over and we took some other pictures.
Oh yeah, I really like that.
But it's like they had the multiple stations with the bars, and just stacks and stacks of 45 plates. So many 45 plates. It was the Atlas stones. So when you walked onto the property and you saw the event set up, it was kind of mind-boggling just seeing everything. And now this year is going to be cool because all the events have changed.
Right.
So,
and it's indoors.
And it's indoors.
So that becomes a challenge in itself, and I think another reason why this is something important, or something special in the sense that we're able to do it outside. Heavy metal is able to pull it out outside. Implements, that's easy. You can bring in bumpers and logs and everything and just drop stuff and not have to worry about it. But now you have to really think about not damaging, because we're doing this all on a basketball floor. So how do you come up with something heavy enough and hard enough that it's challenging on basketball floors? So finding the right material, finding the right implements, and then acquiring those implements for your athlete to give them the best challenge. All right, that goes to something else that heavy metal's trying to do for their athletes, for the community. So that's another big thing. It could have easily been like, Tim was like, oh man, it was hot last year and it's going to be hot this year. He's like, I don't know if we can do it outside again last year.
It was funny because last year he said, I think it was like 7:00 when they got done or something. And he was like, I didn't pee all day long.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jeez. And again, that is something stressful on athletes. And if athletes aren't used to that, we don't want to burn them off. Granted, I'm the type of guy that's like, you gotta make it through.
Suck it
up.
Talking
about strong man. Come on.
Suck it up.
But identifying that it's a need for this, and having it indoors, gives everybody the best opportunity that they can to get their first competition, or at least a good competition in. Then that's what it is. It's geared towards that, to give them a good competition and be able to challenge themselves, but not break you off to where you're not going to do this anymore.
I saw a video they posted. I think it was Tim or somebody, and they had Austin practicing the sled. And let me tell you what, it's a long rope, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got tired of watching him pull the damn rope, but it's got to be 50 feet or something. And the video was interesting to watch, so it'll be exciting. And then plus for the spectators, you're going to get people in there watching the event, and being able to do it without having to be out in the heat all day.
Right.
It's going to be more pleasurable to watch it, and you get folks to hang around a lot longer to watch the ending of the event. So.
And what we did last year, where I think I failed last year, is I was too spread out. I had the whole park, and at the last minute, sports canceled on me, or so because of that, space wasn't used correctly.
Yeah.
And the heavy metal event, I had another event that's not coming this year, which is Battle of the Badges. Rob Guzman's, yeah. But hopefully next year, and then, oh man, wait till I tell you what's a part of that are gonna be built out. If I can get him, if he hears me talk about this, because I've been telling him for years, and I built it. Finally, I got it here. Like, come on, guy, come on, Rob. I'm gonna tell you.
Are we gonna hear it now, or are we gonna hear it later?
No, later, because it's really good. It's really cool. And
well, his event last year. First of all, I had my wife's attention because apparently fit men running and jumping through things is attractive to her. I thought she liked people sitting on the sofa watching 90 Day Fiance, but apparently not the case. But
so if I take a real quick pause, I'm going to talk about that. And
yes.
This is a really cool event for us because it challenges the. And again, I'm not having this event this year. Sorry, but we're going to build this back up. The event was geared more towards military first responders in uniform and kind of give them that in your shoes type of respect. So a buddy of mine is a chief.
It was real competitive.
Oh, yeah. I love it. The idea of Battle at the Alamo City and was I wanted, I've been dying for Tim to run a strongman event. And he's like, if we ever have a place to do it. I was like, all right. I'll make one. And the same thing with Battle of the Badges. Rob wasn't really feeling it at the time, wasn't getting the support for it, didn't have the room, was trying to look for a different spot. And I was like, all right, I got it. So we built it up a little bit more. And and then that was it. I came with Battle at the Alamo City. I was like, all right, we got it. Come on, let's run these events. Let's do this because I see your vision, but I see it as a bigger picture, and we can get everybody to do it. So Battle of the Badges real quick, and I know it's not a part of this year's event, but it's such a great event. I just love talking about it, and it's challenging people in uniform. If you walk the walk or you talk the talk, it's time to walk the walk. And we got uniforms from the Special Operations Schoolhouse here. Chief Herrera, who's a friend of mine, helped me acquire equipment that was uniforms, rubber duckies, or the rubber weapons, full battle rattle. And then we got equipment from the fire department, full battle rattle, and then we had from the SWAT team, full battle rattle. So then they ran CrossFit events during that, kind of style. This year I was hoping to do actual scenarios, but then just a situation with Rob and his gym, and then an opportunity that came up to train the Bexar County SWAT and do their competition. They chose not to do it this year. But I'm hoping that comes back because it's such a great event, and it's just a way to challenge, again, people that are doing the job and, let them know like, hey, this is hard, but that guy that's in that other uniform that's backing me up as well, or is a part of this kind of community, or, those jobs, you raise your hand. There's not very many jobs that you raise your hand and you take an oath that you pretty much are giving yourself, away. And you get to be around those other people that are doing the exact same thing and challenge each other. And that's why I love that event.
Yeah, it's cool. To me, it's cool because there's so many events that people are competitive in, but in Rob's event, it's full of alphas, competitive alphas.
Yeah.
From the lead guy to the last guy, and so it's fun to watch, man.
And that's important to me.
Yeah.
That right there is important to me because we can all consider ourselves alphas, but it's the humility. And I'm gonna, some of you SAPD guys, y'all kind of backed out at the last moment when we said the special operation guys were coming. But, that's it. It's the humility of, am I the best right now that I can
There's
be.
only one way to find out.
Yeah, exactly, and that's my mentality of this.
No, that's awesome.
It is loss or failure. What people presume as failure of not winning is nothing more than an identifier. So why wouldn't you want to challenge yourself? Why do you think that, or why be so comfortable right now in your situation to just put a little bit of stress and give you that humility and you're like, maybe I'm not that good. Maybe I'm not in the place that I think I am. And that overall turns into having to slow down, figure out that process, which translates right into life.
Yeah.
It honestly does. If we do something and we think we're so comfortable as a father or in our work or whatever it is, and then we get hit, with something or some kind, some type of feedback and stuff, or even when in my military career, I felt like I progressed pretty good, and you're like, oh, I'm good, and then you run into somebody like, hey, you're not. And there's a soldier of mine, and he quotes this, and he runs a podcast as well.
What's it called?
You would ask me that. I'll have to find it. I'll think of it. That slipped my mind.
Yeah,
as
it comes
you ask
up.
It will. Joshua Holyfield is his name. Oh man, I see his logo and everything, and now I can't think of I'm sorry, Joshua. I can't think of his podcast name, but it'll come to me.
Google Joshua Holyfield.
Yeah. And so he runs this thing, and he talks about during is when he first met me, and I was that combat guy in an intel shop. And these were all my intel guys. They were school trained, and I'm still this 19 Delta. So I'm still this rough, type of leader. And I was like, I don't care what you did in high school. I don't care what you did up until that point. But the people that you're going to make decisions for have been to combat, are the ones that have been there, are the ones that have, you're sending to hunt people and to do all of these things. Like, these guys are some hardcore people, whether they look like it or whether you think they're not. So don't come in here thinking you're the shit, because you're not. You got to prove yourself to these people. And the way that I ran the shop, I was able to put them in there with them just because I was still a combat guy, and it worked. Some of them got to move into those special places that that I'm like, I don't know if it definitely was a reason why, but I'm hoping it did. I'm hoping that they got that experience, that it put them in those places. And on the outside, I get to see, hey, Josh was doing the same thing that we're doing. He's finding a community that he's reaching out to, and it's more towards veterans, or even, I think it's everybody that's looking for some kind of guidance and working out. And he puts out daily motivational stuff. So, it's I get that kudos in the sense that he's doing kind of what I'm doing now. So I'm hoping, I feel like, hopefully I had a play.
Well, that's the community building, man.
Oh yes, sir.
And it's gonna continue to. I think there's people that'll look back and go, that might be on the verge of starting something new, and then seeing how you're eventually progressing. And then it kind of gives people encouragement to start pushing more on their deal. So as far as like the events go, is it too late for folks to sign up to compete, or because it's right down the road?
Yeah, 20 days. 20 days. 20 days.
Nice.
Has that window closed for competitors to sign up?
Actually, it's still open. There's slots for the CrossFit, for the strongman, and for the powerlifting. And because this is San Antonio, for some reason, it's kind of scary. And I was talking to Tim about this the other day. We wait till the last minute. There's going to be people signing up to the very last minute.
Yeah.
So to answer that question, yes, absolutely, all registrations are open.
When's the cutoff time for those? Or is there no cutoff for that?
Each one has their own, and I don't have.
Well, they can find it on the website?
On the website, so either at the Battle at the Alamo City website or the individual Instagram pages for, Heavy Metal, Texas Strength Systems, and Bear Box CrossFit have their own, in their bios, have the links to that. But ultimately, you can find all of those on the Battle at the Alamo City website, and there's a hyperlink on their flyer to get to those.
What are the other events are there for, I guess, spectators? Not necessarily for, I guess, people to participate in, but for
I was going to say, man, it would be good, interesting. And I might even be able to help you out with that. But if you had also the ACFT, just a competition ACFT lane.
Hang on, I'm a civilian. ACFT.
The Army Combat Fitness Test.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's just a series of kind of CrossFit event workouts that are spaced out, and they're done. And if anybody was interested, be like, hey, you're interested in joining the military, you want to see what it's like, to kind of see what assessment, well, go to this lane, or this area, and hey, go participate in the ACFT,
So
and you can compete.
You're gonna hit.
I see him smiling.
Yeah. So yes, I thought about this.
I'll send some guys. I got some guys who need some volunteer time, so I'll be like, hey,
There you go.
get out there.
And
It's your place of duty.
absolutely, that's exactly what I was thinking. You know, to take advantage of this. This is just a soapbox. This is not my soapbox. This is just a soapbox that's being started. And what other opportunity not to take advantage of is all of these people are working out, all of these people are in shape. One of the other things I have going on that's different from last year is the combat sports side of it. So these are sports that want to join us next year, but we couldn't get, or it was maybe a little bit too late to actually run a tournament or get the numbers to run a tournament. So we'll have boxing, jiu-jitsu, karate, arm wrestling, sumo wrestling. I just got to give me a confirmation, but he was supposed to come out, roller derby, weightlifting, and that should be it unless I get a couple more. So those are the hands-on.
Nice.
So if you're not watching powerlifting or you're not
So
into
those are
that,
events you are going to have?
so they're hands-on events. Those
Okay.
are be exhibits that they
Gotcha.
can talk to the gym,
Nice.
they can see the equipment, and these are from the 13-year-old to the 75-year-old. Again, this becomes you find your community. You find what works for you. This is just the lake to drink from. You got to find the tool and what works for you, but then have the opportunity to talk to the person that looks like me, that looks like you, that's in your age group, that you see like, oh, there's no way I'll be able to do it. But then you get to see with your own eyes your example, and it'll be there. It will be there, because if compared to last year, people just want to compete. They want an opportunity. They want a challenge. So with that mindset, I invited all the recruiters from fire, military, Bexar County.
And are they coming out?
Yeah.
I would assume the Army one is, because they're hurting for the numbers right now.
You'd be so,
They
honestly,
need to be out there. If not, I'm going to make some phone calls. This ain't right.
So I will say this, and this is kind of sad right now, and I get it. One of the groups that I don't get the biggest support from is the military. I'm not going to name drop any companies that are out there, but I have reached out to everybody, and you would think that some of the money that we're raising is going to 2 nonprofits. I am donating spots for all of these recruiting stations. We are bringing 501c that are military and are sports related. We're trying to give tools for the toolbox, giving back to our community. And I absolutely have no support from our military community. And it takes a while, and I get it. I'm a new guy. I had to use this. I had to start an LLC to even do this. So then I think people see that right now, because it's never been done in San Antonio. Last year was the first time that something like this has been in San Antonio. So nobody can see the big picture of it, I think. And the second thing, I think some people are a little bit protective of their groups. So whether you're a nonprofit or whether you're a veteran-owned business, I can see where they want to protect their name, because maybe everybody's asking them for their help, and I get that too.
Yeah.
So that's why this became, it's not just about trying to showcase these people and make some money off of the door and t-shirts, but it's also to give exposure to all the other 501cs that can't get the exposures. The audience is there. The same audience that are these there's no fluff, I should put it this way. There's no, everything and everyone that is inside has to do with sports, mental health, recovery, or the nutrition portion, or even the supportive gear, clothing. So no fluff. No, like, oh, I'm going to buy, some jewelry. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted everything there to be a tool, to be something that you can at least walk away with and be like, you know what, I have something that I can at least guide or take the next step into. But absolutely what you said, I wanted to take advantage of that. Everybody's working out. So recruiting stations, if y'all are listening to this, Chief McManus, Sheriff Salazar, any of you guys, I'm donating spots to recruit, and that's these are the people working out. These are the people that are in shape that you want. You don't have to go out and look for these people. And going on that, there's about 30 of those vendors this is outside of the military recruiters and outside of the 501cs, but there's about 30 vendors that are gyms, recovery spas. Like Evolve is one of my sponsors. So I said recovery spas, physical therapists, doctors, sports medicine kind of clinics. So everything that you would need or you would think you would need in this world or in this journey, you'd be able to find there.
That's pretty cool. It sounds like it's grown considerably from last year.
It has. And being able to, again, learn from those mistakes last year that I kept everybody so separated. Now you'll be able to not only see each other's sports, but then feel their sports. Tim and Michelle are the heavy metal crew. They felt the hype outside.
Yeah.
You know, you bring the hype outside with the powerlifting and the you just have all three sports and competitions going on, and you get to feel the support that they have for each other, and then that just grows inside of the event center. Then we have like pro wrestling matches going on as well.
Yeah.
You know, and then roller derby is going to be doing their kind of exhibition match and their hands on. So you have a little bit of everything for everybody, you know.
It's going to be awesome.
That sounds awesome.
And this is just the start, you know. And now we're going to go talk, you know, I want to talk to where this is leading to and what the next step for this is. And I had mentioned it earlier, is I want to turn this into a nonprofit. One, I can't run this by myself. Mentally, physically, you know, it's so much. And again, like I keep saying, this is not mine. I just wanted to be able to be the spark. And now this is the opportunity for everybody to be able to exploit this fact that we have all of these people here. These are our community. These are a community that want to better themselves or look to better themselves, or are asking for a community to find. You know, they're looking for guidance. So then that's what Mill City U is about. That's where the whole military portion, and when we're talking about getting lost and finding your identity, this is the gap. This is the opportunity to fix that gap. We do a bad job with high school kids, you know, prepping. You know, we complain about high school kids. We complain about how these kids are so weak. They're not strong enough. They're not dealing with stuff. They're not dealing with stress.
Even on the mental capacity side, yeah.
Oh, most definitely, and even on the physical capacity side of it.
Oh yeah.
I just think that we all see it, right? But we're all contributors to it. You know, we make things easier for our kids because that's what we do. You know, we post all of these things, and I'm finding we post all these things about how our generation and the Gen X, and we're so much harder, and we, you know, than everybody else, and we were riding, you know, in the back of cars and smoking our parents' cigarettes and
drinking from the water hose.
Yeah, all of that. But then we don't let any of our kids do that, you know. And then the things that made us who we are, we don't let them. We take that stress, and we take that opportunity for them to go through that hurdle or whatever. We take that away from them. So we see that, and we make memes about it, but then we do absolutely nothing for it. And the reason I was bringing up the high school portion of it is, even for my sons, I pushed them to play sports all the time because I saw what sports did. Like the military, the camaraderie, learning how to deal with stress, learning how to deal with losses, learning how to win, you know, for one thing, being humility, or the humility part of it, and then having the leadership of it, the accountability part of it.
Yeah.
And we teach this to kids, and we put them in there, and sometimes our kids play sports, because I know mine did, that sometimes they only do it for us. You know, I just want to make my parents happy. This is the only way that I feel I can do it. And, you know, my sons are like, yeah, I didn't really care about playing football. You know, and it breaks your heart because that's what you...
But you know what? Part of that, too, is you knowing what's best for your child, right? And they may not be completely enthusiastic about participating in a sport or a team event, but when they get older, they'll look back and they'll go, I'm glad that I took part of that. For whatever reason I took part of it,
right.
I'm glad I was involved. And that kind of carries them into adulthood and you know, kids don't always make the best choices, right? So
No.
it's up to, the adults to say, hey, I realize I want you to do what makes you happy, but at the same time, you need your vegetables.
Right.
And
Yep.
that's part of it, I guess.
Yep. I know in the sense of my son, he won't want to do something if I tell him, but if he sees me doing it, then he's like, oh, hey, daddy's doing it, I'm going to go do that. If he sees me go out there, hey, well, I'm about to go play some basketball with these guys here, sit right here and watch, and then he's like, he'll pick up the ball and want to go play. Dad, when are we gonna go play basketball again? I want to go play. Where can I play?
Yeah.
Or if Dad's working out, I'm like, come over here, come work out. And he'll be in there and he'll start messing around because he sees me doing it, and he sees Dad out there grinding, getting it. Then he's like, okay, participation is a big characteristic of leadership right there. So I'm pretty sure your sons, they see Daddy out there grinding, they're gonna be like, hey, I gotta get in Dad's level.
So I think that's the other part of this too. Like, I'm not asking in this journey, I'm not asking like people to come along with me. I'm asking you to follow me through this mud.
Yeah.
It's never been done before, so people are going to be hesitant. Follow me. I'm going to be the person right in the mud with you, trying to figure this out. Follow me with the possibility of the risk of some failures, but like, again, those are not failures, those are just identifiers that we took approach wrong. Mm-hmm. So at this moment, that's what I'm asking, to follow me in this, because I'm gonna be with you just like I would with my kids. Mm-hmm. Like exactly what you said. People look at me all the time and they're like, oh, you look good right now. Like right now I'm getting...
you do look good right now.
And I'm going to tell you that. And I don't mean to be cocky when I say that, but like, oh, you look like you lost some weight. Like I'm down 20 pounds right now. This actually put me in the hospital a couple of days ago. Running this, I have Crohn's. And Crohn's is stress-induced, but not stress-caused. So technically I'm a desert storm syndrome victim.
Okay.
I had my whole large intestine removed, and for whatever reason, I just don't respond well to all the medications.
Yeah.
So it's always, not if you're going to get cancer, it's when you're going to get cancer, because the disease is always active. So that's what most people don't understand, that my look is my frustration with that health, the frustration that I always feel that, when we talk about alphas or when we talk about leadership, I always feel like this is the first thing that people are going to do to judge you. And it's a negative thing and a positive thing at the same time, because that's the first thing everybody thinks, that you're good. Anybody big or anybody strong has a mental issue. That's just it. You know what I mean? If you're lifting weights, that probably started because somebody thought you were weak, or you thought yourself were weak. You walk into a gym, everybody wants to change something. There's nobody there happy. They might post that they're happy, but they want to change something. They're not satisfied with whatever they have. Yeah. But we don't ever put that into perspective, that even though this is my unhappiness and I'm trying to fix it, it's the same thing as this person at the very beginning of that process. Yeah. So
just that's different spots in the journey.
Just different spots in the journey. So once we break that down and realize that, hey, Renee's over there so intimidated, I don't want to go work out because he hits it hard. That hitting it hard is just a frustration. I just am not doing it through alcohol. I'm not doing it through drugs. I'm not doing it through whatever else it is. I'm doing it through training. And it just happens to be that training is beneficial. And in the long run, with everything going on, when we're talking about vaccines, I can't tell you anything about any of that. What I can tell you is, you build yourself stronger, you have a better cardio, you build up whatever, you get a little bit more longevity. This is the fountain of youth. You go to these meets and you see the 60-year-old coaches that still do it, or the 60-year-old competitor, and they're not limping around. They're not in wheelchairs. They're not in canes. They're like, that's what I want to look like. Yeah. These are the guys that walk around like alphas. They're not out there like, oh, I'm alpha. They're just doing it, They just continue to do it.
It's the lifestyle they're living,
Exactly. And that's kind of what this is being able for you to see it yourself. We all share the David Goggins videos, but how many people do the David Goggins
who's going to carry the boats?
These are the people that are doing it. And I love David Goggins. I share his stuff. But I want you to meet the people right here in the community.
Yeah.
All of these are, local communities that are trying to build the exact same thing. These are local athletes that are doing this. This is everybody's opportunity to find somebody that they want to follow through, not just through social media, not just through a film, but you get to witness, you get to feel it, and hopefully find your path, or at least give you in a direction that you want to do. There's going to be a sign at the very front of the entranceway. I had just thought about this the other day, and I want 2 footsteps there, and I've seen it before, but those footsteps are the first footsteps that you take. We hear it all the time, and that's it. It doesn't mean that you're too late. It doesn't mean that you're not going to stumble, because this is not perfect.
Yeah.
It never is. There's not a one-stop shop. So, if you have that in your mind that I'm going to go out here and this is all going to be perfect, it's not. This is a tool that we use. And why I want people to learn this tool, because in competition, we call this a competition depression, and where everything is going good, and then you do their competition, and sometimes you don't get what you want. You don't get your numbers, or maybe you built it so up, or nobody comes to watch you, and then you kind of go back down. Then you go back up in training, and it's just this constant up and down of training, and that's life in general. If we think that we can be happy and maintain happiness, it's just a chemical process.
Yep.
Then it's unsustainable. And then we're so focused on being happy and, I'm happy, everybody's happy, people on social media happy, everybody on the news is happy. So it's all this fake outside influence, and we're so focused on that where when competition, that wouldn't work. If you're a competitor and you're trying to be bigger and all you're doing is focusing on everybody else, then you're not focusing on yourself. And that's why I wanted this event, and people that use this type of therapy, is that you have no other choice but to stop and focus on yourself. You have no other choice but to look inside and be brave enough and be like, I'm weak. I'm weak in these parts of whatever, and I'm going to go after it. I'm going to come up with a program. I'm going to come up, now that I'm not just going to just float around and do every single exercise. I want to fix my back. I want to fix my bench. I want to fix my run. Whatever it is that you're trying to fix, you have to slow down, identify your weaknesses, and then come up with a plan and go after it. What the sports and these competitions offer is immediate feedback. Did you hold yourself accountable for it? Did you do it when you didn't want to do it? All the things that we tell our kids to do, all the things that we tell our employees to do, all of these things that we expect everybody else to do, did you do it? And nobody else is going to know but you, because your outcome in this competition. And this is why I wanted to bring competition as a way of guiding and leading people, because the military, it's just sports with guns. That's it.
I mean, essentially.
It is. It's sports with guns. You act the same way. The leadership is the same way. I mean, you talk the same way.
Yeah.
Think about your generals and people that are known. They're football players. They're football players. They come from those big football colleges, and they talk about, the flying V, which is a flight pattern, and also a hockey reference, or even
the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, and even in football we talk about that, and we talk about kickoffs. Why? Because it works.
Yeah.
Because it works. So for us, finding these sports and all of these
different avenues,
it's easier for us to break down that barrier and have these conversations like PTSD, conversations about accountability and are you where you are at, type of thing. This allows us to be comfortable and have those uncomfortable conversations.
Yep.
At least for me, in my way of wanting to help people out and help out myself, I found that sports was easier.
There you go.
Whatever it is.
There's you talked about having all these different avenues and these different vendors coming in and having opportunities for folks to see all these different types of sports and competitive, competition type events. one thing that I kind of noticed through, and I always kind of go back to heavy metal because that's what we're closest to, is there's so many different individual personalities that have gone into that gym and found a community. And it's interesting because you can, if you're a loner, if you're different than other people, the interesting thing when you watch kind of people behavior is they come together through this act of fitness and exercise.
Yeah.
And the personalities run the gamut. They're all the way across the whole spectrum. But yet they still have this community. And Tim said before, it's like a club to them. It's like going to the bar. This is their bar. This is where they come hang out. This is where they socialize. For a lot of people, this is the only time they socialize. This is when they come here to the gym and they have common goals. It's like you can be a lawyer and you can be the trash guy, but your common goal is, hey, we're going to make ourselves better and we're going to do it together, and we may train together. We're going to learn off of each other. So one thing that I think it's important for people to realize is you don't necessarily have to already be a part of these communities to come here, find something that's attractive to you, and pursue it. And you may find something that, hey, maybe I didn't like this, but I did notice this too. Let me try this out as well. And that's kind of the cool thing about this whole event is you're bringing something in mass to the masses to say, hey, you don't have to already be a part of this. Here's an opportunity for you to see what's available and take part eventually when you in your own time when you're ready. This is it's like centralizing everything in one location so folks can come and see what's available to them. And I think that's cool because otherwise, where do you get that? You go to the internet, you Google search it, but here you can come put hands on it, you put your feet in it, and you can smell it and see what it tastes like.
Yep.
And now this is your opportunity to go, man, this really turned me on. I'm into this event. I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to take some business information and maybe one day compete in this. So I think that's freaking awesome, man.
You talked about bringing all the different types of sports, but that was just one of the goals that I wanted to do, that as an outsider from all of these locations, and somebody that drifts in between, I go to all the gyms. I get to see the heavy metal, I get to see the Joe's Gym, the Primal Strength, the Texas Strength System.
What about Lifetime?
Oh, I even go. I train Lifetime. I do a lot of
fitness in it. I'll guarantee you Renee's been to it.
Honestly, and that all of them will be there. So these gyms that have the strongest athletes, I'm missing one gym, and then I can officially say that I have all the strongest gyms. So Gary, I'm still waiting for you.
What's Gary's gym name?
Southside Gym.
Southside Gym.
So
Southside.
Southside.
You waiting for Gary?
Yeah. No, I probably he's a busy guy. He's a judge.
No,
he has his
I'm
athletes.
playing.
And I know it's hard because they run powerlifting meets as well. But if I have Gary, that's literally all the competitive gyms that put out athletes. There might be one or two of you out there, sorry if I missed you, but I've been waiting to know you, and I want to get in your gym and find your community as well. But personally, I've seen the athletes they put out, I've seen the communities that they put out, and that's the top gyms in San Antonio, which has a number of athletes that are at the top of powerlifting, CrossFit, or strongman. You have some of the top athletes here in San Antonio. You don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to go to Columbus, Ohio, or go to LA to the Fit Expo. Right here in San Antonio, these are real people that you can be around and get that off of them. And they're not somebody that are so far away that don't want to talk to you. Most of these people want to share their secrets. Because they were the beginner, they walked into that door and are just willing to go reach their goals, and whatever stress that it takes to get there, whatever training plan that they got to get there, they do it. And I get to now say that I have them all under one roof, and they're different personalities. They are different age groups, they are different, all views, and that's one of the best things that I took away from the military. Was that when we were on the same page, didn't matter black, white, right, left, if you like Pokemon or if you like whatever, you didn't care. You were going to do it for that brother and sister no matter what. When everything was at the the most basic of life or death, you didn't care. So to be on that page, it is something that I had, or we have the privilege to experience in combat. Because to be that united when your life is on the line, when you know the person next to you will not just talk about it, they will sacrifice their life for you, and you the same. You're unstoppable.
Yep.
Or you walk around like you're unstoppable. I honestly felt like I could not die if anything happened to me. And to have that, that's what I think we are at, in this society. This is an opportunity to show people that, yes, we have this and we learned this in the military. We were forced in this situation. This is a way to force it on us now. This competition is, all right, let's get on the same path. We're on a momentum. Let's everybody hop on the train and let's see where this takes us. Because we're all doing the same thing, just like we did in that situation of being in the military. All walks of life are needed. You know what I mean? And going into that, I want to talk about where the nonprofit side of what we want to lead this is. We want to start something called It Takes a Village, because it's every part of that village. It's every part of the people in that village that it is to raise, the upcoming youth. Yeah. So It Takes a Village is what, and ultimately what we want to do with the Battle at the Alamo City is make it a nonprofit, is geared towards these competitions. How are we going to raise money for this nonprofit, for this using competition as a way to do it, and then supporting all of these other sports nonprofits. Like some of the money that we're going to is going to go to STRAPS, which is South Texas Regional Adaptive Parasports, and then Texas Youth Parasports, which are both run out of Morgan's Wonderland, which as a wounded veteran, I had to do, or I got into Paralympic competitions. And this is just another way to reach other veterans and other people that, other athletes that have the same mindset, that have hurdles that can use the same leadership, or vice versa. Their hurdles can help guide you and break that barrier of like, man, I don't even see myself doing that. But with somebody with more hurdles than you have and you're complaining about it, it's great to be around those people. So It Takes a Village nonprofit is going to be built off of that. I'm looking for a board of municipal guy, the retired police officer and the firefighter, and then the retired military guy. And then the whole point of this is mental health. We're using sports for mental health. So it would be some type of suicide awareness, whether it's training or whether it's therapy that we can get people into. But the whole mindset being sports, the vehicle as to reach people and to help people out. So hopefully we can start that as soon as we finish this event. And the main reason, which I wanted to talk to as well, why I wanted to do that is I just stumbled into something like this. I'm not doing it. I'm just supporting it. And it's the Fire Explorer program that my son's a part of, and the Police Explorer that SAPD has.
Is that something that is that kind of like a ROTC kind of thing?
So yes.
Okay.
It's like a ride along, isn't it? Kind of like you can ride along and participate or observe.
Well, yes. And
third party perspective.
But the kids are doing it now. So the kids are being trained at the level that once they kind of like RIP or the Ranger Indoc phase, where you're training them to get through this school. So it's going to be hard, right? So they're teaching them how to do the basics like tourniquets and chest compressions and how to hook up for the fire, how to hook up the hose, how to take off the hose, how to direct the where the water is, and then searching for people. By all means, these guys would be able to, at 16 to 19 years old, be able to do a ride-along. And then the same thing with the police officers. Their scenarios are, officer down, going into a house with a riot shield, pulling out people from a house, and with police cars, with houses, actually using equipment and their belts. So again, by all means, prepping for that worst-case scenario. They have competitions that they do fire on fire, which is 2 weeks after our event, and they have a competition now that is fire against police for the kid level. So of course, you
So
know.
these are younger folks.
Yeah,
competing.
these are all younger folks.
That's pretty cool.
That'd
This
be
is
pretty
all
cool.
60, and I got to support this last weekend or
That's
2
cool.
weekends ago, and the turnout was pretty badass. You know, these kids got to do really cool events. And I would like to. This is where I talked about. I want to be able to show some of these pictures. I'll give them to you.
Yeah.
And as we're talking about this, to be able to show those, because I was jealous. I was jealous to know, like, firefighting is something I wanted to do as a kid. I didn't want to be in the military. My dad yelled at me for years. And he was a sergeant major, a retired 32-year sergeant major, infantry guy. And I was like,
you weren't getting out of that.
no. I was like,
Let's be real. You ain't getting out of that.
there's no way I want to do this. But I'm glad I did. But to know that the firefighter, that they were training kids to do firefighting. Of course, they didn't have this, but they had police programs out there. But just to know that they have this out there that's training these kids, to give them direction when I don't know if my son really had of what he wanted to do, because I didn't. I still don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
I still want to. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up.
And then the reason that, at least the way that it was explained to me, the reason they wanted these kids to start having competitions against each other is really for a sad reason. And that reason is, now when a police officer, because of the situation that we're in, they're active shooters continuously.
Sure.
So it is a combat scenario now.
Yeah.
So now when you have a police officer go in, they're sending in firefighters as a part of these task force that handle this, like a medic. They're not carrying weapons, but they're going in with vests and they're going in. So that's combat here at home. And the love that you need to do that for somebody, you're doing the job already. But when you do that for the brother and the person in uniform, there's no way that I can explain it.
Yeah.
It's just something that is, I wish everybody could understand, and I think a lot of the problems that we deal with about our feelings and how we feel about people and situations, they'll get all thrown out the window because it becomes about the bigger picture. So they're doing that at the lowest level. Mm-hmm. They want these kids to not only compete against each other and push each other, but understand to work together, because this is going to be, unfortunately, an issue that we haven't fixed.
Yeah.
So this is the outcome of it. We're already training our kids to go into combat situations because we haven't fixed the issue. So that's what they're doing, and that's regardless of what we think about it. They're doing it at this level. So you have to be able to, at least I feel, you have to be able to support these type of training, support the firehouse and the police departments, little substations that are doing this and taking their time away to do this, to help them out, because this is community. This isn't because they want to be the number one power lifter or the number one athlete. They're doing this because they're going to wear that uniform and they're going to be the ones that pull us out. As we get older, it's going to be that firefighter that needs to move you or the police officer that needs to protect you, whatever it is. They're learning that right now. So by all means, I feel an obligation to help support that.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
And the leadership, just by chance, and in this whole process, ran into a middle school buddy that's running, or was a part of it. And, and he's a police officer now. So like, oh man, you're doing the exact same thing. And then just the other day, ran into another NCO. One of my very first NCOs reached out to me, and he runs a nonprofit basketball team, and he was asking for help for motion. But he's doing the exact same thing.
Nice.
So the point that I made from there is, we were on a path, and we've had some of the same leaderships, and we've had some of the same coaching, and we were around the same people, and that brought us to do the same thing. So those people that I hope might hold dear to me, those coaches that did for me, also had an impact on these people, that they are doing the exact same thing right now at this age, because we're around the same age group. So then that becomes what this is all about. We cannot expect everybody to go pull up yourself by your bootstraps. You can be able to do this because I did it, but I had a different path. I had leadership, I had guidance, I did not get here by myself. I by no means think that. I do not think that I am mentally tough enough or I was born out of the womb. I had to be taught that. And without that direction, there's no way that I can expect other people to live that or to experience that. You know, we tell all the people, it's like, I don't understand why these kids can't just figure out on their own or be proactive about things. If it's my kid and I didn't show my kid that, and I'm expecting that, that's my fault.
I mean, that's at work too, right?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Even in jobs, you sit there and you go, well, hey, so and so doesn't do X, Y, and Z. Well, it's like we never showed so and so how to do X, Y, and Z. So how do they know what's expected of them if they've never been shown what's expected of them? 100%. Kind of thing.
Yep.
And then, it's funny because we always go back to like when we were kids and stuff. I was talking to some friends the other day, and it's like when we were teenagers, the amount of distractions that a teenager has today, it's multiplied by 100.
Oh, yeah.
It's like we had very few distractions just because of technology and other things that get in the way, outside of, family events or, lifestyle at home or whatever it is. Now there's just tons of distractions. So it's easy to... If you don't put an effort into teaching kids the right way or teaching, health and fitness or awareness about certain things, it's even harder for them to pick it up on their own because of all the distractions. So
exactly, those distractions now is mainly entailed to the access of information.
Yeah.
When we were kids, we didn't have. Now kids, they have an unlimited amount of access to any information at the youngest of age. Yeah. So now every society's changed now. Now you have kids who have access to this information. They can YouTube how to do anything, and like we mentioned before, that's what Comfort in Chaos is all about. I enabled that to provide what was lacking, and that is mentorship. Yeah. And that immediate mentorship in every avenue with fitness, going through dealing with a loss, dealing with a divorce, relationship issues, financial issues, in dealing with that chaos. If they don't have that mentorship, then all they're going to go for is whatever they can find. And that might not be that social media influencer, or like you mentioned before, you're only seeing what they want you to see. You're not seeing the struggle or the trials and the tribulation that they went through, to get to that level. Anybody's going to go to the Battle of the Alamo and they're going to see your program. They're going to be like, oh, this is cool, man. I could do this. They didn't see, the starting and all the trials and the challenges and dealing with the mental issues and transitioning from the military into that. They didn't see that. The phone calls, the meetings, they didn't see that. So they may not know how to handle that. But when that right mentorship, all right, here's how you could do it. Let me teach you from my mistakes. Let me put you on that straight and narrow right here. So I can definitely see that easy.
And I think that's where it comes back to where we have an opportunity to make a change.
Exactly.
And that's it. If you've been to school and you've learned all of this stuff before and you feel like it's useful and you feel like you can still contribute, then why wouldn't you? There is this gap of kids, and I had touched on it earlier, that when these kids leave high school, we do a horrible job of, this is what you got to do to play college sports.
Yep.
But the moment that they don't make college sports, it's like if we don't care about them anymore, and I don't mean it like that, but the coaches, and I'm not putting this on the coaches I'm not attacking them, because they have so many kids, they have their time that's taken away from their family, and they have to focus on, those kids that have a possibility, because you're trying to give them the best opportunity that they can. But what happens to the kid that's a little bit behind on the testosterone level and a little bit behind on the skill level because mom and dad isn't there, mom and dad's working, or mom and dad don't care about what they're doing, So when that kid gets to high school and nobody taught them how to deal with the stress, that what happens when you don't make it. Nobody tells them that all the stuff that we learned in football was just to help you out in life. The training that working out we do, you can just take that and keep on doing it to help continue fixing yourself or continue building your armor. And And then the other thing being is like now they lost their accountability as well. Like a veteran, and this is kind of where the whole it takes a village mentality comes from, because like a veteran, there's no more practices like there's PT. There's no more games at the end of the weekend, which is the accountability part of, yeah, they have grades, they're getting their diploma, they're getting that part of it. But what about the physical part of challenging yourself? It cannot always just be, it has to be a balance of both mental and physical. So what I'm talking about and what I'm offering is the physical part about this, and which kind of leads to the mental strength of it. But when you take that all away, you have this kid flapping around for 4 years, more looking for a community and more susceptible to finding the wrong community, listening to the wrong people. You know, and
well, I'd imagine it's similar to like with the kids graduating high school or folks retiring from the military. You know, it's interesting how, and I think we talked about it once before, how you have this definitive line in the sand where you go from extreme structure to no structure.
Yep.
You know, and when you have somebody that maybe hasn't grasped being able to be accountable to themselves to create their own structure, things get loose and wild, and that's where people can get in trouble.
Well, you know, just an experience. Soldiers that I've seen get out that might not have had the best career because of their discipline, or it just, you know, maybe they didn't want to stay in, they didn't find what the military or loved the military as much and got out. They're still going to have those issues. You know, you still had those leadership issues, or you're still making those mistakes. But that NCO, that sergeant that they had, kind of would get in there and be that foot in your ass to be on track, because it was always about the bigger picture, and there's always other leadership that's like, hey, you better fix that, and then rolls down the trigger like, hey, you better fix that, until it's the leader on top of you like, hey, we're gonna fix this.
There was always those parameters. Somebody had those bumpers for you, you know, that were always kind of kept you from going too far one way. And when you lose that, it's difficult. And I guess that's similar to where, you know, like coming back to the events, you know, these are communities to build that, and you start to learn that structure by being in one of those communities, right? Because now you have examples like you did in the military, or like when you were younger and in school. Now you have examples to kind of not necessarily, yes, hold you accountable, but at the same time, they're almost guidelines. You know, if I want to participate in this, and I see that, you know, Renee's doing X, Y, and Z, and he's responsible, he's successful in it. That's a guideline for me to kind of say, okay, well, let me do something similar to what he's doing, so I can be successful in whatever avenue I'm pursuing now. So that's pretty cool.
It's getting there. You know, it is. I think we all share, a lot of us, whether it's through the arts of media, artwork, music, sports. I feel that sports is an art because of the amount that it takes to build yourself up. Like, these are just avenues that we use as therapies. You know, they call it therapeutic, whatever. But the communities that you find inside of these, you realize that it's all the common goal. You want to better yourself, and that's the most craziest thing in the situation that I find ourselves in. We as a society complain about everything. We complain about how everything affects us.
We'll identify issues left and right. We'll identify issues. But just like I tell my guys, anytime we come to an operation meeting or anything, if you can identify issue all you want, but give me the solution. If I'm going to brief a commander, hey sir, here's the issue with that, but here's a solution. Yeah. You know, here's what we got to plan in place, you know. But nowadays, it's like you said, everyone is too easy. Oh, there's an issue with that. Oh, I'm going to post that. Issue with that. Okay, well, what are you doing? What's the solution? Yeah. What are you doing?
We realize that it's just a feeling that we have at that moment. And for some reason, we have to let everybody know how it affected us. But at the same time, it seems like in society, we're always asking, like, whatever you're saying and doing is affecting me. I don't want to have whatever you're doing affect me. But why is it? Why is the focus so outward when most of these things don't have an impact?
Yeah.
Your opinion does not have an impact on me, only if I allow it to. That is it. Your opinion on this or that absolutely has no effect on me if I'm in control of how I feel. And if all of how you feel is just coming from outside sources, bam, that exactly tells you where the problem is.
Yep.
Stop focusing so much on outside and
Exactly.
start concentrating on what affects you. Which sports comes down to it. You know, again,
That's important that you say it like that because, you know, I think a lot of people take a lot of other people's opinions into consideration.
Oh, it's
and I think they need
constant.
to, I think what happens a lot, and not every time, but I think what happens a lot is people will form an opinion on an experience that they've never experienced. And so they'll start to force those opinions on people who have had those experiences. And if you're not careful, it will influence you negatively.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you saying, not to worry about those other opinions. You know, when you're experiencing those, you're the one that has had those opportunities to either be successful or fail or endure through something. You know, so to be able to separate that from, you know, somebody else who's just got a talking point and it's not valid.
Oh yeah, man. Just like I always say, we're all going to experience setbacks. Every one of us is going to experience a setback, but you want to have the mindset where that setback is really a setup for a comeback. So as long as you have that mindset, because no matter what you do, you're going to have a setback, you know, but how you engage that setback, that's going to make you who you are.
Yeah.
So you can either take that setback and let that outside element manipulate your actions, manipulate your mindset, or you can take that setback and be like, okay, this is just a setup for a comeback. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. You know, you said David Goggins. David Goggins has a saying that I like too. He says, kill him with success, not kindness.
yeah, absolutely.
And it's so true. It's so true. You know, I like, hey, you're going to have haters. You're going to have haters left and right. But you know what? How you deal with those haters? Kill them with success, not kindness.
That's
you
awesome.
know?
And that's the other part of that too.
Shout out David Goggins.
That's the other part about it too. Is like I feel like we're so man. I'm trying to find the right word for this. But we are a little bit selfish in the fact that our paths and our points of view are the only points of view. It takes bravery to play devil's advocate to yourself and to understand that.
And to put yourself in other people's shoes.
Exactly. Sure. You know, I love this. I love the one thing about the iris is that from the moment that you're born, the iris shape is based off how light refracts off of your eyes from the very beginning, right? So that means what you view, the light that you view is going to change your iris, you know, learning from the Hyde's equipment, you know, messing with it. So there was a camera that takes a picture of your eye.
Bats and Hydes.
Yeah, and it's using your pupil and your iris. So when you learn of how unique that is, where your thumbprint, you can find your thumbprint actually can be somewhere else in the world just by chance. But your iris is how you view the world. You know, the first light that's coming through, that's going to have play on how or what your iris is formed at. So if you take that into in the mindset that that's how we view life, you know, my path is only going to give me my opinions. You know, whether I went through it too hard, whether I went through it rough, or whether I didn't go through it at all, just my opinion is going to be based off of that. And it is insane to me for all of us to think that Texas views are going to be California's views. And Midwest views and New York. That's why we're always like, damn Yankees, you know. And that's for a reason, because our paths, our environments, our cultures all give us a different opinion and a different view. But then we're all expecting everybody else to only respect our views versus being brave enough to be like, maybe I'm not right. Maybe I don't got this, or maybe we're both right. And basically understanding that whatever makes me happy and the things that make me happy ultimately might take away from somebody. You know, if I want to talk about, oh, I want to focus on education and whatever, but I'm an arts guy, and you know, we take money from arts. You know, I'm just throwing this out there. You know, just different ways that if we want to feed one community, it might take away from another, and then the view of that process might be negative, but only if you took the opportunity to see that. So maybe there is compromise somewhere. I think that's where we fail completely as a society. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to compromise. Nobody wants to compromise their feelings or their emotions or how they see things. But if you're married, you're compromising all the time. You know, you got two.
You're losing most of the time. You're gonna do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Not, and you might even think like, man, I wouldn't think like that before. Like, oh my God. But it's balance. Mm-hmm. It took, especially for me, I was a very selfish person until I met my wife. Mm-hmm. And but in hindsight, I saw that I had to be selfish for a certain period of time. And then I saw where that compromise I should have done earlier would have probably made things or our path where we're at now even better if I would have been less selfish or less worried about my opinions or how everything, because I was a frustrated person. You know, you talk about PTSD, you talk about everything else. I was so focused on how I felt, how you made me feel, how, you know, whatever. I was just focused on that. And that just drove me insane, like most people's PTSD does. Because you're focused on yourself and how everything makes you feel.
How'd you get past that?
I don't give a shit anymore. in my feelings.
That's how I do it.
He kills them with success. That's what he's doing.
No, honestly, and I know some people might see that as a bad thing, or there's probably some psych doctor like, oh, that's a negative way of thinking.
When you think about it, there was probably things that you were overly concerned with.
Absolutely.
Right? So they needed to be not giving a shit about anymore, because that leaves opportunity for you to focus that attention on things that were important.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Prioritizing your emotions. Nobody teaches that. That's what this is for too. You know, prioritizing the energy that you're using on people. You know, in training, you can throw a crappy, and this is, I know people are going to be like, why does it keep going back to training? When you throw a crappy exercise in there, what for? You know, and sometimes you don't learn down the road. It's like, man, this was worth nothing. Like it was always hurting me. But I read a magazine one day, instead of following the people that are actually doing what I want to do and having the success that I want to have success, I'm like, oh, they're not doing that. Why am I not doing that? I have all of this knowledge in my hands, you know, but I choose to do what's easier for me versus what that guy is doing in the hard, you know, the hard way. So that it all goes back into, let me pick the things that are going to help me get to my goal in life. Let me be around the people. Let me challenge myself, challenge my emotion and how to handle these things, and even challenge and changing my mind. You know, playing devil's advocate to all the things that we feel like we care about the most. Maybe they're not as it should be a prioritized of how it affects our life as we make it out to be. You know, it's just, that's what it took. I was mad about everything. I retired as an analyst. So, you know, not by choice, I fell into the job. But, you know, when we're analytical thinkers, or when we, what's the word that they always use? Well, that's it, you know, analytical thinking. And those were the classes that we're going to. Yeah. We're taught to take all the knowledge in and not react off of one source reporting. If we were to go down to military intelligence, this is the job. You know what I mean? You're finding gaps, you're coming up with plans, and you're trying to disseminate and guide people. This is military intelligence all day long. And people that are finding themselves in this overthinking, that's what you're doing. You're running all the possibilities, but then that becomes a failure in the sense of we all think of all the mistakes, but never plan about how to move forward. We just, like you had said it earlier, we set up like, oh man, all of this stuff is going wrong, so I'm not going to do this. You know, where the other part of it is in the training, you'll have to throw it in there to see if it works for you, because this is an individual based thing. And that's the whole point of this. That's why there's so many different communities in this type of event, because it might not be for you.
That's what I appreciate about it. Like even just this podcast, for example, you know, I don't specialize in anything at all. But
that's what you say. You keep saying that. You keep saying that.
But I love, you know, I don't feel that people are there's some people that hyper focus on one thing and that's their gig. But I think for the most part, people are not one thing, you know. And so like with this podcast, I love having a variety of folks on, because that interests me. And I think that keeps people interested. Similar to Battle at the Alamo City, you've brought together so many different things that make up a community, and there's so many parts and pieces, and they're all shaped different, and they're all different colors, and they're all in different positions. But it's a place where somebody can come and they can say, I don't know what I like. I don't even know what exists in my town, you know, but here is a centralized spot where I can come and be exposed to a little bit of everything. And because nobody's one thing, you know, somebody might go, you know, there's certain activities that are more physical, and then there's some certain activities that are more mental. You know, everything's mental, everything's physical, but one might be heavier in the physical, one might be heavier in the mental, and this allows just a wide variety of people in the San Antonio area to be able to come to a location, see all the different stuff, see how it applies to them or how it makes them feel, and want to have that experience. You know, and it's literally like you said earlier, you know, just a spark. Right? Mm-hmm. It's a spark to what might be something you participate in the rest of your life. Right. You know? So this is a location to come out, check it out, get your hands dirty a little bit, and see what you like. So I love it, man.
And see, and that's your gift right there.
What's that? Good lookingness?
And I would say you have mastered the art of your exploitation. That is your role.
Say that to Nina.
Hey, Nina, if you're listening, that's your role.
She ain't listening, man.
Exploitation, you know. I watch your social media. You're constantly exploiting some kind of program, somebody's business, somebody's a sport or activity. You are exploiting that to the masses. You know, that is your role as of now. That's what you're doing, and you have this podcast forum where I've listened to multiple different episodes, and you have different people. I saw one, you had a Texas trooper in here, you know, and I'm listening to him, and I'm like, man, and that is what you're doing. You're exploiting that information to the masses. You know, people didn't, I would never even know about this program if it wasn't for you. You know what I'm saying? So not everybody has that skill and ability. So I wouldn't let those outside elements manipulate you and tell you you're not.
I appreciate it, but I'm just.
And not too many guys can pull a knife on the collar and just wear it on the daily.
Man, it's because it pulls my shorts down. But so let's let everybody know the event, time, date, location.
Battle at the Alamo City, Mission Concepcion Sports Complex, October 7th, 20 days away. Registration's still open.
To participate,
To participate. You can find tickets online. It's $15 general admission, $10 for military, first responder, and veterans.
Nice.
And that's at the door. If you want the discount, unfortunately, we got to do it at the door. I don't think I have it set up correctly on I don't want to say the wrong ticketing information, but on where to buy the tickets. So October 7th, let's go to be there, show you something new, show a new thing to celebrate in San Antonio.
Nice. What's the website?
BattleAtTheAlamoCity.com.
BattleAtTheAlamoCity.com.
And what time's the start time? Because you have a presentation of colors, right?
Yeah, I'm still trying to get that team, and I haven't got a hard confirmation. So if you have a team, ROTC, SAPD, Bexar County, or Fire, if you have a team that can donate their time, I want to do colors out there. We will do an open ceremony and then kick it off and be able to really kick it off.
Is there on the website, does it show times for certain events starting off? Or
It does. I have to update it now that we're getting to that point of where the weigh-ins are, equipment check is. So that'll be it's probably about 90% correct, but I need to go in and take a couple of things off. So just to get it down.
Nice.
what's changed up.
And our volunteers, is there?
There is a link for volunteers.
Okay, there you go.
I do need volunteers. One of the best things that's happened out of this event is my friends from high school that we kind of, I should say, my family friends, because we spend a lot of time together, whether it's our kids growing up, family vacations, they all come out and help me with this event. So that's another big, like, I get that,
Nice.
support from my friends. People are always asking me, how can I help? How can I help? Just coming out to be there is one of the biggest things that I need. I don't need your money. I don't need, anything. I just need you to come there and give what you have to offer. Some of those guys are, I'm going to finish with that, but some of those guys are people that I surround myself with, and that's important to me to share that, because I surround my people of those type of people for a reason, and we stayed friends
Nice.
for a reason. I have my kids around these people for a reason, and that goes in general. And right before we leave, I want to say something that I think is really important to me, that I want to finish the podcast off with.
Okay.
So let me know when we get to that point.
Whenever you guys are ready.
Send it, man. I'm ready to go.
All right. So
I'm ready to hear this.
So this is it. In the past, as adults, and as we find ourselves in these situations or in this opportunity, whether you invited me into your circle or I invited you into my circle, I want to grow as a father. I want to grow as a husband. I want to grow as a leader, and I just want to grow as a human being, period. I want to be the type of person that can take everybody's opinions and be able to come up with something that I can work with. I want to be able to honestly look at all of the situations and be able to come up with something. I want to be brave enough to do that. But at the same time, I expect everybody else in my circle to do the same. I expect everybody else to keep growing, to want to excel, to find other avenues of how you're going to reach people, how you're going to use your skill set. Mm-hmm. That's important to me because I want to grow. People all tell me all the time, like, yeah, man, you motivate me. This is, you kind of put me back on track. I need that too. And I need that from you that I find in my circles. So if we are friends, we're doing that, I need you to step up your fucking game, because I'm about to too. I'm about to push myself, and as I try to, but I stumble. And I stumble and people pick me up as well, and know that I'll be there as well for you. But in our two groups, in our circle of friends, and I'm not going to get comfortable. I am going to continue to push myself, and I might push you, and I might ask of things from you, but this is our way to grow, because like I was saying earlier, I surround myself around people that are going to get me to my goals, are going to get me to the mindset, are going to help me heal the way that I want to heal and contribute the way that I want to contribute. So in that, keep doing what you're doing. My friends that are out there are doing it. If we are in these circles, continue to keep those things. But I do expect you to grow. I do expect you to challenge yourself. And I do expect you to be brave enough to just take things in a different perspective. Be brave enough to play devil's advocate to yourself, and be brave enough to fail at things, because it's not failure. It's only identifying. And if you don't go out there and at least attempt whatever it is, whether it's education, physical fitness, a relationship, whatever it is out there that you are just hesitant of because you don't want to fail. Fail because you have the support of us. Fail because you have these circles, if we're surrounding ourselves and we're growing, you should be able to feel this, because I feel your momentum. You know what I mean? That's what I learned in the military. We never give up ground. We are right now, I feel like, on a momentum. Let's go. This event is just a small part of it. The communities that are a part of this event, they were looking to grow too. They want to go. The momentum is now. So I need my circle of friends and the circles that I belong to keep with that momentum. Let's keep growing. Let's keep moving. And I 100% need that so I can keep on growing and move as well. That was it.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Powerful
Renee.
words, dude.
Oh, man.
Thank you,
Powerful
Renee. I
words.
appreciate that, man.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Thanks, Gabe. Thanks
Hey.
for coming on.
Thank you, Gabe.
Battle at the Alamo City, October 7th.
Heck
Oh, yeah. Battle at the Alamo
Look forward to
City.
it.
Let's go, San Antonio. You know, this thing is growing, and I cannot wait to see in 2 to 3 years where this is in. Next year, I want to be at the Boeing Center. That's it. I want to be at the
you go.
Boeing
That's the
Center.
goal.
There's 2 more organizations that are going to, huge events that are going to come in. And I didn't even get to talk about those, but that's for a whole
Save it for
nother
another day.
That's a whole nother day.
That's the trailer right there.
That's a whole nother day. But we will talk about it, Gabe, because it is big, and it's finally happening. Finally happening.
Well, as always, brother, I appreciate your time.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
you,
Thank you
man.
for this opportunity.
Absolutely, man. I love having you. Love you, Renee.
Thank you, brother.
Love you, Gabe.
All right, out.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.